Shakin Stevens, born Michael Barrett in Cardiff, Wales, 1948. He played in bands from his early teens, turning pro in '69 with Shakin Stevens and the Sunsets, a name thought up by a friend of his. A great revival act making waves on the live circuit with all of the right ingredients. A guitarist fighting his way through the set for his next fix. A fretless bassist with nice economical fingerwork, wondering if he's left the oven on. A black man in a silver suit getting his leg over with a piano. Stylish frontman teasing the ladies and howling like a hungry young wolf. Second guitarist humping the air with excitement, literally leaving everything on the stage. A rock and roll spectacle that even John Lydon from the Sex Pistols was a fan of. Supporting acts such as Bowie, the Stones, and even Chuck Berry, amongst others. It's going well, but money's tight. In 1977, he's given the opportunity to play Elvis in the new West End musical, a slightly tasteless affair, accused of coffin jumping as only 15 weeks after his death, and knocked for the press for having minimal dialogue, but a big opportunity nevertheless. Tempted by the money and exposure, he moves to London and spends 19 months performing to around 500,000 people, whilst his band wait patiently for his return. He can be seen here being interviewed about it.
Steve, what's your real name? Real name is Shakin Stevens.
Yeah, you can call me Shaky.
Okay.
The interviewer calls him Steve, then, in a display of over-familiarity, decides to ask him for his real name, and gets the only response you'd expect. You can call me Shaky. Cool as a cucumber.
Shaky, is there any dialogue in the actual plays, or is it just music all the way through?
Not too much.
Yeah, but
just kind of like introducing the songs, I guess.
Well, don't you think a lot of fans would just really want to, a lot of people would just want to see about his life, but because they could just go home and listen to their records?
An adult has told this little snot gobbler to challenge the integrity of the show, but it takes more than that to rattle Shaky.
Well, I think the way it's done very well. I think it covers mostly everything. We couldn't get the Colonel himself.
Mm-hmm. He refused.
So don't you mess around.
The hip action, leg gymnastics, and effortlessly light feet are hard to ignore. His jump from cool revivalist to a theatre type may have pissed on his credibility, but now, up to his nuts in dancers' guts and making good money, strong contacts daily, he couldn't give a monkey's. When the show closes in 1978, he's offered a solo record deal and takes it, leaving the Sunsets behind. Takes another few years for him to gain traction, but in the 80s, he starts appearing on our TV screens. He can be seen getting interviewed by a young Richard Madeley here in 1980.
Shakin, you're Shaky, I should say. Of course, I do beg your pardon.
Madeley calls him Shakin, and he quickly corrects him. Status quo snigger in the background. The story is that Madeley had already ruffled his feathers prior to the interview by calling him a revival artist, devaluing his current relevance. It's also claimed that Quo gave him a line in the dressing room and were in stitches about the state of him.
You're known really for this old style rock and roll. Why?
I'm
Yes, you are.
basic. I'm a 1980s act.
Madeley highlights Shaky's old style rock and roll, but he doesn't like it, in front of Quo especially, the poster boys of current rock and roll, so bites down and insists that Madeley stop, but he misses the opportunity to divert and doubles down.
Oh, yeah, of course, you're acting in the 1980s, but your
No, not
style,
acting,
your style
no.
is in the roots of rock and roll, isn't it?
No, I'm not an actor.
I said your act is in.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This is an underrated image. Shaky, rushing from that banging 80s flake, unsure what's going on, looking at the camera with a showbiz smile before short-circuiting.
I'll finish this with an argument. Oh, goodness gracious.
Right.
Right, well, that was...
Feel better for that?
That was a wonderful Christmas present. Thank you very much indeed, Shaky.
He's pleased to see everyone laughing, and his endorphins are pumping.
Ruined the hairstyle. Let's catch up with Shaky's latest
Merry
single.
Christmas, everybody!
Do you want to hear your single?
Do I?
You want to hear your single?
Yes, of
Right,
course.
let's catch up with his latest single.
Quah flatter him by endearingly calling him mad, and now, realising that he's the most rock and roll man in the room, decides to run with it.
An album called Marie. It's called Marie. Okay. Marie! And it's shooting Gary.
Madeley later spoke of the interview as traumatic and confusing, making it 10 times funnier. And after years of refusing to, he did interview Shaky again many years later with Judy, where they conducted a more mature affair. Soon after this, he finally begins charting, after over 10 years of trying, song after song into the top 40, the biggest selling male artist of the 80s, an icon with the golden touch. Young or old, your feet are tapping to Shaky. No feet, no problem. Disabled and special needs facilities report him as a firm favourite at discos, as well as reports that Russian athletes listened to improve their performance and mood. Shaky mania, even appearing on a classic old ad for Heineken where it settles his shakes. After a decade at the top, he takes a break in the 90s to enjoy his family life, but returns to touring in 99. An unhinged fan orchestrates a bomb scare at one of his shows. He's caught drink driving on New Year's Day of 2002 and is banned from driving for 2 years and fined £400. He's charged with assaulting a photographer at a gig with a microphone, breaking his camera. As well as divorcing his wife and getting with his longtime manager, which must have raised a few questions. So things are getting on top of Shaky. He shook, even reported to have told a member of staff in a hardware store to get a life when they jokingly asked if the hinges he'd bought were for a green door. But he has big plans, a return on national TV, a show called Hit Me Baby One More Time. Completely and utterly beneath the man, but a chance to see the handsome old dog swivel his achy hips. It got him another top 40 and a re-release of This Old House. He had a heart attack in recent years, but thankfully recovered and continues to play. In conclusion, he soundtracked our younger years, and as part of the rock and roll lineage, even served as a gateway to indie, hard rock and metal. But we did notice a decline in the quality of his output in the late 80s and had to move on. But despite writing him off as a budget Elvis and throwing his tapes and posters in the bin, he'll always hold a place in our hearts. Go and see him before he's dead. And peace and love.